Hello, new citizen of the Global Prosperity Sphere, or GCPS as many of you will soon lovingly call it. As a new member species of our galactic community, I am sure you are rolling your eyes or sensors or whatever your species uses for sight at the thought of listening to another human talk to you about the rules and regulations you will have to follow to gain the benefits of being a citizen. Well, I can assure you I won't be like those other talking heads, and not only because of my striking good looks. You see, my fellow galactic citizens, I am here to tell you of the greatest tool for galactic peace ever created, something that can instantly end hostilities, and combine the wills of even the greatest of enemies. Today, my fellow sapients, I am here to speak to you about the greatest sport ever created, Dreadball. The story of Dreadball began long ago, on the corporate troop transport ship, Dread, a ship dedicated to bringing our fighting men and women wherever they were needed, to fight against those who would get in the way of economic prosperity. And it was in one of the hangars of that ship that then Senior Flank Commander Jesus Ortiz realized he had a problem that many a commander had faced before in the history of warfare. His soldiers were bored. And bored soldiers became weak soldiers. He needed a way to keep them happy, fit, and most importantly, hungering for blood. And it was while he was brainstorming ideas that he came up with something that would change the galaxy forever. Using decommissioned armor, a dismantled cluster munitions for a ball, and a few hastily put together rules to keep things interesting, he created a game that his soldiers took to immediately, and other companies quickly began to emulate. Soon enough, even organizations outside of the military were taking great interest in this new exciting and extremely violent game. It became obvious to Jesus that his game, which he decided to call Dreadball, was more than a way to get some quick exercise and pass the time. This was a game that could have a lasting impact on society and make him a lot of money. Now, most people would have seen this rapid interest in Dreadball and used it to make a quick payday, selling off the rights to it to the first corporation willing to throw a few credits their way, and spending the majority of that money at their local bars. But Jesus was no fool. He saw that Dreadball could be something much more than just a passing fad, and he wanted to make sure he remained a part of it, as it inevitably reached its full potential. Through wit, charisma, and sheer force of will, Jesus maintained his hold on the copyright to Dreadball and all of its possible licenses, eventually forming and becoming the chairman of the Dreadball governing body, or Digby for short, and watching as his humble game became a sport watched and loved all over the galaxy. From this hallowed position, he maintains control over every aspect of Dreadball to ensure that it retains its true spirit and isn't debased by the many influences that smell the billions of credits it creates every year and wishes to get their grubby hands on it. Or as Jesus said in a Sportline 888 corruption investigation, "As long as I'm in charge, Dreadball will remain pure." Although there are people who, for whatever reason, question that purity. His partial ownership of a dozen top teams, the fact that his wife owns the Sportline 888 company that investigated Digby for corruption, as well as some supposedly suspicious betting patterns, linking Ortiz to criminal syndicates, having a few people raise some questions that obviously came to nothing, as those people asking them always seemed to disappear, most likely ashamed at the false accusations they had made, and hiding from the public eye. But enough about history. Let's learn more about the game I am sure all of you on your world will eventually love. The game of Dreadball takes place on a specially built multi-arena stadium containing a neo-durium pitch, the same military-grade material used by our armed forces. On this pitch, you will find two teams of 6 players, the home team and the visiting team, with a few other players on the sidelines who can rush onto the pitch in case of substitution, injury, or death. And each player will be wearing a carefully designed Dreadball suit worth millions of credits. Suits that, due to the violent nature of the game, usually last only 2 or 3 games before they need to be replaced. And most of these players, depending on their role, will be equipped with the iconic Dreadball glove. Although the style of the glove changes depending on the corporation or species using it, they all function the same, to handle the most important object in this game, the Dreadball. The Dreadball is a small silver ball made of face-hardened weapons-grade titanium, containing a small anti-gravity pulsar that keeps the game interesting, as it makes the Dreadball's bounce unpredictable and prevents it from being completely blocked by a team. The ball randomly bouncing off the floor and walls until it's caught by a player, and in the hands of a skilled player, it can be thrown up to 200 miles per hour, seriously injuring or even killing a member of the opposing team. But as fun as a little ball beating may be to watch, that's not where most players will be aiming the Dreadball. Their true goal will be trying to score points for their team during a rush. A game of Dreadball is split into what is called rushes, totaling 14. At the start of the first rush, the Dreadball is launched from the sidelines in a random direction, and is hopefully caught by a player. And once caught, that's when the real fun begins. On the pitch are 6 colored strike zones, 3 strike zones of one color for the home team, and 3 strike zones of a different color for the visiting team. Each of these strike zones is made up of 8 hexes in front of a special strike hex. Any player capable of doing so must run to any hex on one of the opposing team's strike zones and throw that Dreadball at the strike hex, earning what is called a strike and gaining a point for their team. If they run to the opposing team's strike zones that are closest to the midline and throws at their strike hexes, it counts as 1 point. If they run to the opposing team's furthest strike zone though, and are able to hit the strike hex there, it counts as 3. And if they're feeling lucky, they might try to throw from the farthest hex from the strike hex in that zone, earning an additional point. A risky gambit, but risk is what the audience loves to see, and many a player has lost their life trying to earn this elusive extra point. Once a strike is made or the timer runs out, a new rush begins, and a brand new Dreadball is launched from the sidelines immediately without waiting for the players to reposition themselves, because in Dreadball, the action never stops. Unlike other games, in Dreadball you track the difference in score and not the total score. Each point you gain moves the opposing player 1 point further away from victory, each team aiming to have the most points by the end of the final rush, or gaining 7 points and immediately winning a landslide victory. But to score those points you will need players, and in Dreadball, they come in 3 wonderful flavors. The striker's main job, as you can guess from the title, is to score those delicious points, lightly armored to maintain their maneuverability and speed as they dash across the battlefield. Of course, speed can only help you so much before having to face an opponent who would want nothing more than to crush you down into the pitch. And that's where the guards come in, tasked with protecting the strikers from those who would get in their way, as well as crush the opposing team's striker if the opportunity presents itself. And last, but certainly not least, are the Jacks. Named after the human saying, Jack of all trades, they are the all-rounders on a Dreadball team, fitting into the role of striker or guard whenever the need arises. Well, new citizens, I hope my humble explanation of the greatness that is Dreadball has excited you. In a few short days, your information network will be tied to the rest of the galaxy, and you'll be able to see Dreadball live wherever you may be on your world. And once that happens, you'll be able to find a team that inspires you, follow their journey towards victory, and of course, buy their merchandise. Thank you for watching, and remember, it's a harsh galaxy out there. Why not escape for a bit by gathering the family together, sitting in front of the view screen, and watch as 2 teams risk their lives for your entertainment. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on Dreadball, the ultra-violent futuristic game that takes place in the Warpath/Dead Zone universe. If you like it, please like, subscribe, comment, press the little bell so you know where I post, etc, so that the YouTube guys know I exist, and hopefully my content will be pleasing to the algorithm and more people might see my stuff.
Let's see. If you really like it and you're inclined, and only if you have the cash, please consider sending my money my way to my Patreon or my Coffee account. The extra money gives me a chance to work on these stories I love. Anyway, thanks for listening / watching, and see you next time.